What's up, softball players, coaches, parents? In today's video, we're going to talk about routine and why a good routine, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, all those things, we'll cover all of it today, why they're so important for consistent performance, not just today, but throughout your career and really throughout your life. I mean, it's not just a sport specific thing. So one of the big things that separates college players from high school players, pro players from college players, is their dedication to the routine, the quality of it, the amount of iteration and thought that goes into it. So we're going to go into all that today. And this is actually a clip from a bigger webinar that goes into 5 struggles that many athletes have in their mental game. So if you want to see the full webinar, it's free. You'll find the link in the description below. So if you enjoy this clip, you'll get essentially 4 times more, four more tips in that full webinar. So definitely check that out if you're interested after you're finished the video. Thanks so much, and I'll see you at the end. Struggle number 4, and this is a big one, and this is what separates pros from everyone else, and this is routine. Routine is huge, especially in baseball and softball, because there's so many games. It's unlike any other sport. Baseball and softball in college, they're both playing, 50 games in the spring. I know the baseball schedule is 56. I think softball maybe even a little higher than that. How do you expect to hit, 300 over a season like that? You're going to have ups and downs. It's always going to be waves. Like the background of this webinar, there's waves. You're going to go 0 for 12, and then you're going to go 17 for 27, right? You're going to tear the cover off the ball for a while. Or you're going to have a couple bad outings, and then you're going to have, 3 shutouts or whatever it is in a month. These things happen. And the way you normalize that is by having good practice routines and by being consistent, not only in the way you practice, but in the way you prepare and in getting your mind right to play. So good routines are not only before an at-bat, but they're also before a game. They're also during the week. They're trying to figure out what makes you the best version of yourself. I'm a really relaxed kind of person, kind of monotone. You can probably tell. I'm not super animated. I never was on the field. Even in that game where I was fuming, where like I could feel almost steam coming from my ears, you wouldn't have been able to tell that I was that angry. I was a very stoic, kind of robotic player, and that helped me stay level. I was never overly emotional. I didn't let myself get high and low, because if I stayed, calm and even keeled, then I could recover mentally between bad outings, between bad pitches and bad luck and bad calls, and refocus and get the next one. That's really important. But some players, they want to get really hyped up. Some players need to be calmed back down. Some players listen to reggae and again, really like wavy, relaxy stuff before the game. Other players are like banging their heads and trying to get pumped up because it gives them a little more energy. Everyone's different, and you have to learn this stuff sort of trial and error, and you bounce stuff off your teammates, and how much running can you do in a week and still be at your best? How much arm care? How much strength training? When can you do these things? How much sleep do you need? What kind of stuff should you eat on game day or not eat? How do you, again, like how aggressive do you want to be? How focused, how cerebral, like all these different qualities, like what makes you the best version of you. And then when you figure that out, which takes a long time, then how do you foster that every single day? How do you roll up with the best version of yourself? Your car finely tuned and ready to race before every game. That's a really challenging thing, and it takes time. And I think looking back at my own career, I learned a lot from other players by watching them, by asking them, saying, hey, like, how do you do this? How do you be a starter? Because I was a starting pitcher. I was a relief pitcher. I flip-flopped. I was a swing guy some years where I'd start or I'd relieve, which was super hard. And you're always asking, like, hey, what's your routine like? How can my routine be better? Like, tell me, what do you do? How did you handle that season that you had a couple years ago when you were a reliever, then you were spot starting? How did you figure that out? Or how do you handle being a pinch hitter? How do you handle coming off the bench? All these different things are really important. And coaches obviously can be a huge help. But we know in the youth level, not every coach has played at a super high level, but coaches still really want to help their players. Or for parents, if you didn't play, you still want to be able to help your kids through this, right? And so you need your peers, you need coaches, you also need to be a good scientist. And what I mean by that is trying things out and really saying, okay, well, I did a lot of this week, and I kind of struggled and I kind of felt tired when I played. And next week I did things a little bit differently. I did a little less of that, a little more of this, and I felt really good. So maybe I should do some of this and less of that. You start sort of testing things out and using your body and your mind as an experiment to figure out what routine is best for you. It can take a long, long time to figure out what to do. And again, when when I was a head coach of my academy travel teams with lots of serious young players, I was making them write routines out. I'm like, hey, you're starting pitcher today. The game's at 1:05. I want you to write everything you're going to do in pregame down to the minute. So at 12:34, what are you doing? All right, 12:34. I'm taking my jacket off. I'm running 2 poles. 12:37. I'm doing karaoke. I'm doing shuffles. 12:39. I'm doing this. 12:41. I'm getting a sip of water. My catchers, we're going to start playing catch. I'm going to throw for 7 minutes. I'm going to long toss, then I'm going to come in. I'm going to put my jacket back on, get a sip of water. 12:46. I'm in the bullpen. I'm throwing inside outside fastballs first. Then I'm going changeups. 12:49. That's how we do it. That's how I did it. But I learned that from someone from observation. I learned that from my coaches, from my teammates. And that stuff is super important because when I pitched, I was, when I was a starter, I was walking, if it was a 105 game or a 705 game, whatever 05 time it was, I knew that I was walking I'd throw my last bullpen pitch and I was walking up to the dugout at 12:58. It would take me a minute and a half to walk to the dugout. It's now 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I sit down, I get a swig of Gatorade, 7:01, 7:02. They're calling me to run out on the field, doing the national anthem, and I am ready to go exactly to the minute when I want to. Everyone does this at the highest level. And for hitters, they don't have the timing as a starting pitcher, but what's your pregame routine? What are you doing in the batter's box? What are you doing before the game? How many swings are you taking so that you're fresh and you're ready, but you're not worn out? These things are so important because I've already programmed this out and I know what I'm going to do, I don't have to spend any mental energy on doing this. I don't have to worry about whether I'm prepared because I know that I've honed my routine over time. I've been a good scientist about it, and now I executed it. So I know the way I prepared for today's game was exactly the same as I prepared for Tuesday's game or for last Thursday's game. And so if I don't pitch well or I do pitch well, it's not going to be because I did something different, did something weird, did something counterproductive. It's going to be just from the few factors in the game, the pitches that I made, the decisions that I made, the way the ball bounced, etc. It's never going to come down to the stuff that I could control. And you'd be surprised as parents and as coaches of youth players how little of this structure that they have, and they have to be taught it. I mean, I showed up at tournaments with my team, and I was just flabbergasted to see starting pitchers sitting in the dugout 25 minutes before the game. They've already warmed up, and they're getting cold. I see hitters just straggling around the field of our opposing team, just like, that kid's not mentally ready to play. He's not mentally ready to play. They're just checked out, just killing time. Pros don't do it that way, and it makes a really big impact on your kids' consistency of their performances. All right, so I hope this clip about, routines and just the critical importance of them really was helpful to you. It's an underrated aspect of preparation, especially for young athletes and amateur teams, but it's really super important. So thanks again for watching. Again, if you want to see the entire webinar, you can do so below. There's a link in the description. All it takes is an email. It's completely free, so you can check that out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.